Our 4-way extensor push-ups are essentially a extension of all of that bear and crab walking stuff, but now very wrist specific. Also, going the opposite direction. So instead of going to here, we're going to here. And again, this is very tight, especially if folks stay in this shortened space and they're here typing and using the mouse all day. We're trying to get open through that space. So the way you can set this up, sit down, hands and knees, and hands can just go directly out in front. This can be very, very tender the first time people try this, so just bear with me and I'll show you some modifications. All I'm doing is going palms up, back of the hands down, spread out my fingertips so I've got a nice wide base there. I've got basically as much length of all these tissues as possible, and then do your best to straighten your elbows. That tends to be the biggest problem. People are like, oh man, this tissue is so short, I can't get through it. That's fine. In time, this is what we're going for. From there, I am making a fist to bring myself back up. So if I'm way out here and I squeeze my fist, that's basically these muscles going like, okay, we're returning everything back to neutral. Okay, so that's part one. Part two is decelerating back down. So using those same muscles to control your descent on the way back down. Here would be a non-optimal way to approach this. I kind of just use my upper body to bring my hands back up and slam them back down. Okay, I want to try and isolate the feeling of that muscle. Squeeze up, decelerate on the way back down. Position one, fingertips towards you. Position two, fingertips towards each other. Fingertips towards you, fingertips away from each other, fingertips away from you. Now, what order you do them in, it's totally fine. I may even do a slightly different order each and every time, but the goal is basically to get all four of those angles. What if this is too difficult? Well, you can go to here and start to very gently play around with this. You could even take a seat. It's not really even necessary to be on your knees and start to play around with all these different angles. The point of being on your knees is essentially that allows me to get out in space, and you can imagine being out here is like, this is like very, very difficult than even just going right to here, okay? We're addressing the tissue that runs from your finger to elbow, get some length through here, 4 different angles, sort of an extension of that bear and crawl mechanic, getting my wrists and elbows working in all the directions that they ought to, so you're ready to do whatever it is you have to do for your next task, and you have wrist stability for both sides.